I just made this video for 9 minutes and then it like cut off in the end. So my name is Vince White and I'm an employment attorney. And on this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. Now, we have a question here from In HD Films, who has the distinction of being perhaps our most handsome of viewers. Not coming on to you. Would never. Just saying respect. That's all I'm saying. Now, the question reads as such. Vince, it's me again. Question. Let's say my previous employer has just been bought out by another company and they are closing 600 stores. Plus, just got done with a $40 million lawsuit against them, and they are finally about to reopen the location they sued for. What are the odds of them being willing to pay at least six figures to not risk the case going public, or would they even care at this point? Okay. So let's answer the question you asked first, and then I got a bunch of other things I want to say. Your question is, what are the odds of them being willing to pay at least six figures to not risk this case going public? Well, the reality of the situation is I don't remember your case, right? I've answered a couple questions for you, and I remember to be a plaintiff who has a really good grasp of their rights, with a solid claim, and you're steering your ship through the world very actively. So all of those things are signs that you probably have a case that's going to be in the six-figure range. Not a guarantee. You could certainly have all of those things and have a case worth 20 grand. It's entirely possible. But odds are, based on my recollection, you've got a case in the six-figure range, right? That's not the same as having a case that will strike fear into the heart of your employer should it go to the court of public opinion. Let me give you examples. Let's say there's a lot of video evidence of people running around using slurs for your protected class in your workplace and engaging in long-standing protected class related threats upon your safety, right? I'll give you a couple examples, like nooses and lynching talk for African Americans, burning stuff for gay people, right? Like, you kind of get the idea. Really hateful, horrific, aggressively violent imagery, right? I don't care what brand you are, and I don't care who bought you. You probably don't want that going live in any way attached to what the brand that you just bought, the entity you just bought. That's a bad thing, right? Like, so everyone who's trying to maintain the valuation of the entity that was just sold has an interest in saying, hey, whoa, what the fuck? That is some aggressive hate, right? Like that's like inviting the Grand Dragon to your campaign rally. Like, that's holy shit, right? And that's really going to activate the court of public opinion. Counterpoint. You could have a case of a similar valuation that sounds a little something like this. Hey, the termination rate for African American males in this company is 10 times every other demographic. The promotion rate from women in this company, right? If it's a gender claim, it's 1/5 the promotion rate for men, right? Those are great claims, right? It looks here like people of Latin descent earn 50 cents on the dollar within our company, right? These are data-driven cases that I'm explaining. And data-driven cases can be incredibly valuable and lower risk than many other claims. There's not often too much question of what actually happened. We have the records, right? And in discovery, we obtain all the records, and then we just say, look what you did. You can say what you want, but no one cares, right? And those cases can be very valuable. But when you take them to a reporter, we'll use the first example. It's hard to be an African American male in corporate America. You have to be better at your job to get promoted. You have a higher chance of being painted as the angry black man and pushed out of a job, and the termination rate's higher. Yeah, that sounds about what I thought the world was like. Right? And even if you get a reporter who says, okay, I'll write about what we all kind of understand as the status quo, to some extent, right? We all kind of know, right? Like, there's not too many people in the country who are like, well, I don't think it's harder to be African American in the workplace. Like, those people exist out there, but I don't even think all the really racist people think that. Like, there's a lot of racist people who are like, yeah, I think it's harder because I make it harder. So, like, the percentage of people in the country who think it's harder to be African American in the workplace, I think is really high, right? I could be wrong. I suspect it's very, very high. It's way over 50%. So let's say the reporter writes the story and the headline is like, hey, this company does not treat African American men well. Higher termination rate, lower promotion rate. It's bad. That's the headline, right? People read that headline, they say, yeah, that's basically how I thought the world worked right now. And hopefully most of them then say, I wish it didn't. We should really do something about that. But I don't know how many people are going to click on that story, because a lot of them are going to say, yeah, that makes sense. That's what I thought. It's not that great of attraction for a story, right? Like, I don't know how many clicks that gets. And let's face it, journalists want the clicky. That's all they really care about. Are they trying to change the world? A couple of them, right? Like, you got like the Zoe Schiffers of the world doing God's work. But you know, that's somewhat rare. That's not everyone who writes for a newspaper. So, you know, do you get that story printed? Maybe. Somewhere. And then do people read it? Is the company afraid of it? Nah, probably not. Right? But, well, I think you know what I'm saying, right? Like, the case matters. The case and how, for lack of a better term, sexy or horrifying it is, matters for how the company will fear it in the realm of public opinion. But now, we've answered your question, I think, with a spectrum of ideas. And I think you're the kind of human being who's going to apply your own facts to your spectrum, and the spectrum we provided you, and you're going to have your own understanding, right? It's my general understanding of you, based on like 3 interactions total of like less than 15 sentences, right? Let's not sleep on the fact that you have a case that has its own liability and valuation. And there's a good chance that valuation could already be in the 6-figure range. So the company has reasons to settle with you beyond just the court of public opinion. The court of public opinion is merely one tool in the toolbox. And as with any tool, you wouldn't just go to the shop, take it out of the toolbox, and go do the job, right? You would go to the shop, pick up the toolbox with all the tools you might potentially need for the job, and go. And you would go to the job here in this situation, your case, and you would deploy the court of public opinion if it was appropriate. And you would deploy aggressive discovery, right? And attempts to depose important people in the company. And you would litigate in a fierce fashion, right? You would use all the tools in the toolbox. And you would use them in ways to reduce risk and add value. And I don't want you to, because this question is very centric on the idea of court of public opinion. And I get it. This is just one thing you're asking about. You're not saying it's the only tool. I understand that. But what I don't want to have happen is for a company that feels like it's probably a Fortune 1000 company at least, right? If you're closing 600 stores and you still have enough going that another entity is purchasing you, then a $40 million lawsuit that you just had to pay out is probably not the end of things for you. And that's really important because they're going to say, listen, we're getting bought out. There's no money. Like, we're going under. $40 million lawsuit. We can't pay. And the reality of the situation is the number of small businesses in America who could take a $40 million hit and be reeling, like they'll be in rough shape, but they will get to the next year. It's common. There's a lot of small businesses that can take that $40 million shot. Many. Seen it happen, right? It's always fascinating when you look at the net worths of famous people and then you look at the net worths of like an orthodontist with like 20 practices, or like a small firm, long practicing plaintiff side attorney, or a plumber with many vans in the field in a crowded city who owns her or his business, right? And you'll see like, oh my God, this actor has $30 million. And you'll be like, yeah, but Jake the plumber has 50, right? So like, and I know you understand this. I'm talking to the people. I'm not talking to you. Don't let them say, we just took a $40 million hit. We can't pay you. Bullshit. Listen, they can't pay you $40 million, I'm sure. Actually, I'm not even sure of that. They won't, because this case probably isn't valued at $40 million, but they might be able to, right? They might. I'm sure. Listen, $40 million hit, CFO's on life support. Blood pressure, anxiety, that CFO is in rough shape. But there's still somebody there to cut checks, right? I mean, and they have a daddy now. They have a parent company who bought them. And that comes with some amount of resuscitation of resources, right? Like there's some life support coming in. Now, the purchase dealt with the liabilities in some strange fashion, I'm sure. You got to pay attention to the purchase agreement, right? Like who holds the liabilities now? Important to you, because if it's the purchasing company, very exciting. Someone with very deep pockets just bought the company and wants to protect the value of that company, or maybe doesn't. Maybe they're looking to strip it. I mean, that's possible. They want to strip it down for whatever it's got. Its IP, its locations, its leases, its industrial secret knowledge. I don't know, right? I don't know what they want out of it, but assuming they want something out of the brand, it makes sense to speak with you and engage in some kind of settlement negotiation. I don't know if it'll be 6 figures or not. I don't know your case, but I hope it's 6 figures. I hope it's 7 figures. Anyways, I went really long on this. I had to shoot this video repeatedly because I'm an idiot. I hope it was helpful. If it was, like, subscribe, comment down below, share the channel so it can grow. Tell me what you think about the court of public. Listen. I understand that what I'm saying, that nobody cares about certain cases that are like obvious discrimination, is gross. It's a gross thing to say. I don't like saying it. But it's not my job to say things that I like saying. It's my job to describe difficult realities of this business so people can make informed decisions, right? But I would love to have a conversation about that below in the comments, because I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of feelings about that. Like, how can that be blasé? How can people not care? Listen, I agree. You're preaching to the choir. But the situation is such that it is. Right? Or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I would like to be wrong. I would very much like to be wrong. I am often wrong. Yeah, take care, everybody.